After 21 point scoring races at 7 championship rounds, the 95 Shell Series remains a tight contest between John Bowe, Peter Brock and Glenn Seaton. The talented Tassie Tiger has a 32-point break over his rivals, but that is hardly a comfort zone. 50 points are available this weekend, and the Fords have been nobbled with a ride height adjustment. That's great news for Brocky and the defending champion Mark Scaife, who is always in a class of his own at Adelaide's Mallala Raceway. The teams and drivers have appreciated the mid-season break in competition. Now it's time to rekindle the V8 flame as Seven Sport welcomes you to South Australia and round 8 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Proudly brought to you by Shell, Tui's and Mitre 10.
Hello Australia, I'm Mike Raymond. Welcome to Mallala Raceway in South Australia and a very exciting round 8 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Alan Moffat, we have 11 drivers under the track record. The officials, they say, have nobbled the Fords, but John Bowe has pole position.
Well, he just keeps stamping his authority on this 95 championship, Mike, and he's not prepared to give up 1 millimetre to sacrifice that front row, and a great pole position again today.
Here's qualifying from yesterday. Look at those times. John Bowe on pole with a 1:07.32, and the Holder man likely to take it right up to him today. Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. And out of row number 2, Neil Crompton, what a return to form in the Co-Commodore, and rounding out the top 4, Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon, car number 30. The draw for the Peter Jackson Dash means absolutely everything. Bowe was looking for 1, and the worst thing for him, Seaton got it. So here's the lineup now after the draw. Glenn Seaton on pole in the Peter Jackson Falcon, and sharing the front row is Dick Johnson in the Shell Falcon. Row number 2, Neil Crompton, 3rd fastest overall. That doesn't change. Larry Perkins moves to 4th. The 3rd row is Mark Scaife on the inside in the Winfield Commodore, and Alan Jones the outside. Row number 4 is Peter Brock the inside and Wayne Gardner the outside. And the final row, Tony Longhurst shares with John Bowe the fast qualifier. Just about set for the Peter Jackson Dash. Lights on. Johnson, Seaton, square up on the front row. Johnson wins the start. Crompton gets out, so too does Perkins. Down the outside goes Alan Jones, and up the inside comes Mark Scaife. All battling for the right-hander. Look at them, side by side as they race down to the next turn. Seaton has won it. Crompton away very smartly. Johnson is 3rd as they make that exit. Scaife is up to 4th. Then it's Jones on the inside and Perkins the outside.
Yeah, Mark Scaife hit the curb on that first corner, took her up on 2 wheels. I'll bet that got his attention. He'll be simmering a bit.
Lightning start too from Neil Crompton. Great return to form for the Coke team. But look at the Shell Falcon just sitting back there. John Bowe, the fastest qualifier yesterday, shuffled back to 10 in the pack draw. Glenn Seaton, meanwhile, the other end of the field in the Falcon, leads them through this sweeper, 230 kilometres an hour as they break hard for this hairpin. Crompton in 2nd position, looking very aggressive.
And Crompton comes up under brakes, and Johnson goes the outside. No room there. Up behind him comes Mark Scaife, who punches away at the inside of the Falcon. They come up to the S's now. They'll have them up on 2 wheels through here.
Here comes Crompton through the sweeper once again, holding on to 2nd place, but coming under enormous pressure from Johnson in 17. I haven't seen Dick drive so well in a Touring Car Championship round for a long time. He's really pumped this weekend. And look at the pressure he's putting on the Coke Commodore here. Great view from 7 Race Camp as they head back toward the hairpin once again. Terrific shots.
They make a run down to the right-hander. No doubt about the man at the front of the pack, Glenn Seaton. He'll pick up 3 championship points and will start to close on John Bowe overall. He's got a break of about half a car. Crompton has got them all bailed up behind him, but he's done nothing wrong so far. Johnson a rat-tap-tapping at the tail of Crompton, and Mark Scaife is the next one up, followed by Jones. Then it's Wayne Gardner, Larry Perkins, Peter Brock.
Here's a go by Johnson. He did it.
Set him up.
Sporting move by Wayne.
Yep. And Scaife just muscles the inside of the Winfield up the inside of Crompton's rear quarter panel. He's getting attacked from front and from the rear, really in the wars here, Crompton.
Well, this will be playing into the hands of Glenn Seaton. They can argue between themselves. Seaton's through, and all he wants is 3 points out of this to close on Bowe in the championship. And Mark Scaife, who I think will probably be the big mover here today, comes up on the inside of Crompton as they spread it up here, and he will get it.
Big mover, all right. Look at the speed he got out of that corner, come out the back straight. He had Crompton side by side as they worked their way up through the gears. Had him nailed by the time they came through the sweeper. So Crompton gets shuffled back another position to 4th.
The last set of S's comes up. chasing 3 points as he makes his way through the corner, and it is Glenn Seaton. They might have nobbled the Fords, but they haven't nobbled them enough. Seaton is first, Johnson is second, Scaife is third, then it's Crompton, followed by Jones. Confirmation of placings on our Shell race score for the Peter Jackson Dash. The winner, Glenn Seaton. That looks good for the championship. 3 more points. Dick Johnson, a 1-2 for Ford. He runs second in the Shell Falcon. Third was Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. Fourth, Neil Crompton in the Coke Commodore. And fifth was Alan Jones in the second of the Peter Jackson Falcons. Well, Glenn Seaton's got 3 points in the bag. Now it's time for the Auto Action Privateers Dash. And a good-looking lineup. David Attard in the Alcare Air Conditioning Commodore starts on the front row. And alongside him will be John Trimble in the Daily Planet Falcon EV. From row number 2, David Parsons, a newcomer, a truck racer in the Commodore VP, a Larry Perkins turnkey car. Chris Murden in the Anderson Consulting Commodore VR and 39 starts alongside. Then it's Bob Pearson of Sydney in the Product Commodore VP, and alongside Mark Poole, who starts in the Cartronics VP. Then it's Paul Romano of Queensland in the Holden Commodore. 28 is Kevin Waldock in the Team Komatsu Falcon EB. And there's young David Attard, who's on pole in the Alcare air conditioning entry. He has a pretty wily stanger alongside in John Trimble and Daily Planet Falcon. And off the line, Trimble breaks into wheel spin, and they go either side of him. Spurden gets up the inside, and also down the inside came David Parsons, and Romano made a brilliant start from the back of the field now up to, I think, 4th spot.
Yeah, good move there by Chris Smearden. He saw Trimble in trouble and accelerated his Protect Commodore straight through into 2nd spot.
Position staying static at the moment. Smurden defending 2nd position. Attard has them well and truly covered at the moment.
Well, Attard shows nice form here all season. Another guy who's just started this championship run.
There's John Trimble. He's had a spin.
And he's had some damage there too. A big boot in the driver's door. Oh, that's a shame. Car beautifully presented, the Daily Planet Falcon. And Johnny Trimble
He's trying to get back out onto the circuit.
At half distance in this 4-lapper for the Privateers. Look at Paul Hoyks, inside wheel up as he comes through the sweeper there. Very quick corner. The car's very heavily loaded as they come through there. And he has a go. Under brakes on the outside. Not the place to be, because Smurden can just switch across and cover his ground. But Paul's making no mistake. He's waiting and willing and ready to pass. And he's got Romano right behind him. These three very evenly matched as they come up to complete 3 laps and head out on their final tour.
Yeah, meantime, Attard holding steam in front, doing well. He's run every championship round so far this year, and obviously would be very well equipped to hold this spot. But the Daily Planet's having a bit of a spin today.
But David Attard gets away from them. That's out to probably 4 or 5 car lengths as they come down the back straight for the final time to the right-hander. It's still close for second, though. They all close up here under brakes. Actually, they all close up on David Attard under brakes. Through the S's for the final time. Checkered flag about to be unfurled. And David Attard comes out of the final corner for Auto Action, the Privateers Dash. He gets across the line. Smurden in for 2nd place. Mark Poole is 3rd. Paul Romano finished back in 4th spot. A great race. Let's go down to Marco Slow.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. 2 big winners this morning in the Peter Jackson Dash for Cash and indeed the Auto Action Privateers Cup. At first, Glenn Seaton, victory in that great drive. And I guess that's a really important chance for you to check out how the other guys are going to be running in the heats today.
It is for sure, Mark. It's very important to get up there early in the day and put a time together. But at this stage, I think consistency over the race distance will be very competitive. But early on, we struggle a little bit until the temperature get in the tyres.
Well, best of luck, Glenn Seaton. We hope you have a good run today. And indeed, in the Auto Action Privateers Cup, another guy, you're getting very used to winning this sort of thing, David Attard. Another great drive, Dave.
Yeah, I could get used to this quite easily, actually. Yeah, it was, for a change, I drew number 1, which was better than 6 or 7 for the start, and from there it was just a matter of keeping a level head and staying in front. But while I got this chance, I'd like to thank Auto Action, of course, for giving us the series to follow, and Alcare Air Conditioning for getting us here, and Balgala Smash, who did a lot of work for us since Eastern Creek to get us here. Thank you.
Plenty of plugs there from the Privateers. As always, plenty more action to come on 7 when we come back after the break.
Well, what's it going to be, a Holden or a Ford for round 8 of the Shell Australian Championship from Mallala in South Australia? Let me tell you, there is an absolute capacity crowd here today. The largest I've ever seen at Mallala. I'm sure you would agree, Marco Slow.
Absolutely, Mike. They were camping outside the gate at 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. There are really so many people here.
The V8s are alive and strong. John Bowe on pole. 7th pole and 8 starts, 107.32, and sharing the front row, a boy to keep an eye on today, Mark Scaife in the Winfield Racing Commodore. He's won here twice in the last 2 years. Row number 2, Neil Crompton, the Coca-Cola Commodore, and Glenn Seaton in the Peter Jackson Falcon.
Out of row 3, Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore with Dickie Johnson in car 17 alongside him. Row 4, Wayne Gardner, Crompton's teammate back there, and 05, Peter Brock, the Mobile Commodore.
Row number 5 is Alan Jones in the second of the P. Jackson Falcons, and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon EF. Row 6, 015, Thomas Mazzera, the Mobile Commodore, and Jimmy Richards in the second of the Winfield Commodores.
First of the privateers, Paul Romano on row 7 with Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Falcon alongside him. Row 8, David Attard in the Alcare Air Conditioning Commodore, and Bobby Pearson in the Product VP.
Row number 9 is David Parsons, young privateer in the Commodore, and Mark Poole in the Cartronics Commodore. Row number 10, Chris Smurden in the Mitsubishi Electrics Commodore, and John Trimble in the Daily Planet Falcon EV, leaving Kevin Waldock in the Team Komatsu Falcon out of row number 11. Holden versus Ford, the square up. Race 1 for round number 8. John Bowe in 18, and the man who's won here the past 2 years, Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. Set to go at Mallala before a capacity crowd, and Bowe wins the start at Crompton. Up the inside of Scaife, goes straight by, so too does Larry Perkins, and an appalling start there from Glenn Seaton, who's got shuffled back about 6 cars as they go down into the left-hander.
Yeah, well, Scaife lost the start as well. A fabulous start by John Bowe. He just seems to know exactly what to do, and a brilliant start by the Coke car. Old Neil is on the job today.
John got the hammer down there. That thing just launched off the line, and Crompton equally brilliant start from the second position to push his way through. He's got Larry Perkins behind him. And there's one spinning there. I think it might have been Thomas Mazzera, was it? And Parsons in trouble as well. As the field gathers themselves up, Crompton hanging on to second position. There's Parsons, the rookie in car 55.
I think it might have been Mark Poole that had a problem as well back in the pack. He goes through. So they've all regained as they come down under brakes into the right-hander. There's your race leader, John Bowe, Neil Crompton. Then it's Larry Perkins, Jimmy Richards, a good start. Dick Johnson is the next one, then followed by Glenn Seaton and Alan Jones back in the pack a little deeper.
Get the impression that may have been Peter Brock at the back of the pack there.
It was a mobile car, Mark, for sure. Just not sure whether it was Brocky or Mazzera.
They come in to reel off one. Bowe, the order over Crompton. Perkins is the next, followed by Richards. Then it's Johnson, Glenn Seaton, Wayne Gardner. A gap back to Longhurst. Then Jimmy Richards.
Peter Brock in all sorts of trouble at the back of the field. It was Brock who spun sideways there. He's back in last position. And for the man trying to track down John Bowe's 32-point buffer in this championship, that is a critical blow.
Yes, he can kiss today's activities goodbye. He'll be mad about that, but he'll soldier on.
Some great pictures there, the Castrol race camp. As we ride out the front of Larry Perkins' car, he closes under brakes on Neil Crompton and the Coca-Cola Commodore, the right-hander. Now it's a straight run before the right-hand curve as John Bowe and the 18 Shell FAI Falcon starts to open it up by another couple of car lengths, and Crompton finds that Larry Perkins and Mark Scaife are right behind him to keep him company.
Well, there may be some people at home wondering where the Coke Commodores have come from all of a sudden. And Scaife sneaks through on the inside of Perkins under brakes there, so he's making a move through the field too. Moves up into third position ahead of Larry Perkins. Not going to let him go. Sneaks up on the inside as they come through the sweeper. Down toward the braking area once again, but Scaife on a charge. Larry Perkins, we're with him with Castrol Oil's race cam up behind the Winfield Commodore VR as now Scaife tries to zero in on Crompton.
Yeah, well, Mark would have been mad at himself about that poor start, but he's obviously knuckled down and said, I know what to do for the rest of the race, and up to third already. A good recovery, but a pity to lose the opportunity you have when you're on the front row.
So Perkins shuffled back to fourth. Should be a great battle this. Bowe's gone for a gamble on a much harder tyre than the tyre that Perkins and Crompton are running. So as this race unfolds, we may see that coming into the equation. But Crompton at the moment, very quick times as he hangs onto the back of Bowe. But Bowe really is sprinting away. He opened it up 1.6 seconds that last time across the start-finish line.
And the further that he gets in the lead, Mark, the easier he can be on the car. It might only be a little bit here and a little bit there, but soft tire or not, he can control his car if he's got the pack behind him. It's when you're in the middle of the field having to throw your car around to try and get back in the lead that chews up the tires so badly. Look at that Winfield car, the left front off the ground through that sweeper. Really likes a soft car on a circuit like this. Mark's been testing at, testing the back bumper bar.
Sure is.
Well, he'll keep the pressure on. Look at it, just pick up the inside front. He'll try and get down the inside again here for the next corner. Can't do it. It's a little too tight. But he is the man on the move at the moment, Mark Scaife, after losing the initial kick at the start. He's now up on the tail of Neil Crompton's co-Commodore. Larry Perkins was sitting in company with them, but he's dropped back into the clutches of Dick Johnson at this stage. And there is a little run off the racetrack from Neil Crompton. He had problems with brakes yesterday. Tries to get back out again now as they head down to the right-hander. Yes. So whether he just got a little too far off.
Slip up there on Neil's part. He got wide, and I don't think it was marked that he didn't force him off the track.
Great recovery too, but he's got Perkins right up behind him as they come through the sweeper once again. And Scaife, is that?
No, Johnson up there, yes.
Scaife's been in contact with another car. Look at the damage on the front of the Winfield Commodore.
Well, I think you'll find that may have been a hit up the tail of Neil Crompton coming out of that corner.
Gee, it must have been one heck of a hit.
Well, something upset Neil. He didn't just drive off the circuit. That's not his style.
Let's have a look at this on race cam as a replay, thanks to Tui's.
Oh, this will be good.
That's that the back of Crompton's car. Bang! Cop that, young Billy. Oh, the hood's up. Good.
Well, we know why Crompton got nerfed off onto the dirt. He was lucky to. Oh, now he's gone off where he went yesterday in practice, so he knew what to do. Everybody jumping on the brakes at the end of the main straight and really using their cars up. Wayne Gardner bringing up the Coke team into contention again after Neil had his oops.
First time the Falcons have run too with the inner guard shotgun panels, as they're called, in the front of the car. Slightly higher front ride height on the car was expected to pull them back a bit. Talked to most of the four teams. This had the effect of probably 1, maybe 2, 3/10 of a second on the fast track. So the Falcons still very, very quick. The Commodores have got to fight for every inch of space. Look at Seaton down the inside of Larry. Thank you very much. And is it Gardner?
Wayne Gardner.
He's going to have a go as well.
He's capitalized, not quite. He needed a bit more room to get here into this left-hand sweeper. But he's serving notice on Larry that he's got intentions of more than following him. There he goes long up the outside. I don't think he can do too much with that move. But he's certainly letting Larry know, I'm about to pass you, mate.
Well, we've already seen what happened in our replay. A big hit up the back of Neil Crompton from Mark Scaife. And then you went off. Just tell us exactly what happened, Neil.
Well, it was all a bit weird, actually, Mike. Right in this very spot here, I obviously misshifted. I didn't actually gate properly from third to fourth. Either that or we've got a problem with the gearbox, but I suspect driver error, to be honest. And poor old Mark paid a pretty high price because he ran into the back of it, which I feel bad about. But then we got down the other end of the joint, down to the other hairpin, and I'm not sure what drugs Dick was on, but he just went straight to the back of me and pushed me on.
Oh. Well, we missed that part. Well, you've done well to recover, Neil. You've still got a good heat, plenty of laps in front of you, and another heat later in the day. You can still get some good points.
Yeah, that's right, Alan. The car's obviously very good, and it'd be nice to try and get a good result for the Coca-Cola racing team. But we're pretty happy with the performance of the old beast at the moment.
No, so. Okay,
with a little bit of luck, I'll sort of be able to get some points back here.
Well, stay with it.
Oh, look how close it is here. A little, was it a tap? I don't know. Perkins got a little bit out of shape there, and Richards capitalises on that slow exit from the corner. He's side by side with Gardner as they come through the sweeper.
He's in the right spot now.
Oh,
careful.
Big puff of dust there. He doesn't give him a lot of room. Richards goes deeper under brakes and sneaks through on the inside of Wayne Gardner.
Good move there. Obviously, Yokohama been doing a lot of work and a lot of testing, and looking like paying off here at a nice time of the season.
And speaking of testing, Alan, Coca-Cola too have been out very busy over the June break, and that would explain this rise in competitiveness of the Coca-Cola Commodores this weekend. Very quick in qualifying. Crompton, of course, qualifying third, and Wayne Gardner showing an equally impressive pair of heels here in this race. Currently 6th position and well and truly in contention.
You know what they say, the harder you work, the luckier you get, and certainly is manifesting itself here today with the Coke team is doing a superb job, and a great two-car team. A little bit of trouble with one car, second one slots right back up there into contention. The same with the Winfield team. Mark out of it and Jim back into the scene. Really good to see, and of course the two shell cars out in front, 1-2.
Perkins at this stage trying to control his position on the track because he's got Jimmy Richards applying a ton of pressure here in the Winfield Commodore. Gardner's one back behind them, and Perkins, an old wily dog, hangs to the right-hand side of the road.
Wily is the word.
And can you believe that? They dive into the right-hander. Jim says, bang! Well, there was almost just a little touch there. There was one maybe there, but Jim will be all over Larry like a blanket here.
This is extremely competitive racing. I've just got to look out the window and have a real look down start finish straight, and there's nothing. You can throw a blanket over Larry and Jim at the moment. Oops. Nothing separating them.
Well, it looks like Jimmy's finally enjoying himself. He hasn't had much fun this season. The car not to his liking. He's not prepared to drive the limits of the car, but didn't feel he had the right grip or the right balance. But obviously today the car working very well for him, and Jimmy's proving he's just as quick as anyone in the right equipment. Has another sneak down the inside of Perkins. A drag race here as we take Castrol Race Cam aboard Perkins' car. And it's side by side, but Larry not lacking for grunt. Look at Jimmy, lets a rip through the sweep at 240 kilometres an hour. He's got him covered under brakes. Great run from Richards. Look at Gardner.
Gardner said, wherever you go, Jim, I'm with you.
Well, these guys have been doing more than tyre testing. That's been some brake development there. That was a superb pull-up by Wayne Gardner and a tremendous job by Jim Richards.
Well, Jimmy Richards running a single caliper front brake setup on the car. Scaife was experimenting with a twin caliper setup similar to the system pioneered by the Coca-Cola team, but no shortage of brakes from Jimmy's car. Tremendous driving here as he moves his way up well into the top 6.
John Bowe needed a race win here today almost to lock up the championship with round 9 to come at Wanneroo next weekend, and of course the grand final at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway the first weekend in August. And here's how they run at Mallala. Heat number 1, John Bowe, the race leader. Teammate Dick Johnson doing a heck of a job as rear gunner. Glenn Seaton and the Falcon, and they've nobbled the Fords, don't you believe it? Jim Richards runs in 4th, and 5th is Wayne Gardner. Dice continues. Jimmy Richards up on the inside of Wayne Gardner. Comes another ex-world champion in Alan Jones. Underbrakes the duel, and the Ford wins.
This has been going on lap after lap, and aren't these Bridgestone cars going gangbusters? Jones really warmed up. You can see the battle damage on the left-hand door there. He's been in the thick of things.
Thomas Mazira moves up behind them. Perkins is dropping back through the pack, which sort of worries me just a touch about the Dunlop runners here today.
Yes, I think Larry may be a little bit concerned there about his choice of tyre, but certainly here Alan Jones, who worked hard and drove very well to get 9th position qualifying time yesterday, to stay in the top 10 convincingly for the Peter Jackson team, and here starting now his harassment of Jim Richards.
There you go, another drag race.
Well, Neil Crompton has gone to the pits and is out. We'll get a report from down the pits. The day is over for, well, not the entire day, but certainly race 1 is over for Neil Crompton. Done a great job in the Coke Commodore, and the owner of the team, Wayne Gardner, is still out there.
Oh, look at Alan Jones down the inside of Jimmy Richards. He's just going through this field so quickly. He's pushed his way, was 5th last time across the start finish line. Now he takes Richards for 4th. So that's Falcons 1, 2, 3, 4 if he can nail Richards down here under brakes. But Jimmy's not going to give in without a fight.
There's a bit of panel damage too on the 35 car, make no doubt about that. And he's Gardner, I'm with you, boy.
And Jimmy gives the finger. Thank you, Wayne.
No,
he's not going to get through easily.
That'll get Wayne's dander up, make no mistake about that.
Well, that was a good move on his part. He saw the gap he should have taken. He tried it.
Oh, here's
Mazira.
Thomas. Here's Thomas.
Does anybody say
you want some good racing?
you want some? I've stumbled for words over the criticism of this formula from time to time, but better have a little replay of this if you think this isn't competitive racing.
No, I don't want you to be political, Alan.
No, I'm trying not to be.
So lap 39, 29 lap contest, 13 laps completed in this terrific scrap here. John Bowe, Dick Johnson, Seaton, Alan Jones, Jimmy Richards, Wayne Gardner, and Thomas Mazira. This is the battle for 5th, 6th, and 7th position.
At this stage of the race, there's still got to be a lot of strategy. Naturally, go as fast as you can, but it is a long sprint race, and these fellows have got to decide how much stamina they've
look at
got.
that, side by side, and Gardner gets a little tap. Mazira takes advantage of this smoke pouring off the back of the Cape Commodore. I think he's got a tyre rubbing there.
He is now.
He copped that one, but
Here comes
cannot
Thomas.
go off the road at your peril. We've seen it happen. Neil had trouble initially when he got involved with Scaife, and now here's the boss coming in with a bit of a smoker. Pity to see.
Coke team cannot take a trick. Their most competitive run. You can see the damage on the back of the car. I would suspect that's a tyre rub, and he may even have damaged an oil cooler under the car. That could be oil smoke, but whatever it is, he's out of the race.
It's the man who won the Peter Jackson Dash earlier today. Car number 30, Glenn Seaton, the only man that's really making a big run outside of Brock at John Bowe for the championship this year. Had a wretched run here last year. Started the day fine, but it all went, if you'll recall, he had an onboard fire and had to bail. Well, he's ready to go take it one more after Dick if he can get a shot at him here. And Dick's got the widest Falcon you've ever seen.
Well, this is a pretty interesting battle too. Dick Johnson is running these new batch of UK tyres which arrived just during the week. The first run he's had on in a race situation, and he is matching Seaton now on his proven rubber combination.
And not only
10th
that,
for 10th.
and not only that, but they're both gained on John Bowe.
Seaton nailed him in the S's. I don't know whether Dick just...
Well, Seaton's been climbing
hesitated
the
for
back
a second.
of it.
Yeah, Seaton is very close. He's certainly shadowing John.
Watch for them here.
This is going to be an interesting couple of laps coming up here.
Oh, sneaks up the inside. Now, it's critical here that Bow doesn't lose his cool and just gets some points. He's got to just, now with Brock out of the picture, all he has to do is keep stringing together good points.
Yeah, it's the last thing we want to see, is
braking this time, braking.
And I think John Bow may have twigged to that, actually, Alan.
Yes.
He knows the championship is in view. He pulls up the inside, but Seaton has him well and truly covered.
He did for a moment, and then Bow thought, damn, I could have held him off there, but there's...
I think after that move there coming onto pit straight, John thought that Glenn was definitely serious about passing, and he doesn't want to damage his car. He knows he has to finish to win.
Look at this, Alan Jones. What's he done now? He's taken another 1.5 seconds out of it. He's really getting very close to Johnson here. John Bow sitting in the protection of his team boss. Glenn Seaton still in front, but Peter Brock is the man who is also going with Jones. Absolute gangbusters here. He's just there. He is in shot. Yep. Look at the amount of ground he's made up over this race distance.
Now the pair of them here, Brock and Mazzara for the Mobile Telecom Telstra operation. We don't know whether it's Telecom or Telstra anymore, but we'll have to figure that one out in due course.
And also, Brock will be mindful of the wherever he finishes in the first heat is his starting position for the second. If he can muscle his way up toward the front, he's going to be looking very good. David Attard.
Uncharacteristic spin there by David Attard, but tires could be starting to let him down.
Well, Brocky's on the move in 05, so it's tightened up here. The championship points. Brock needs a haul of them to pick up some ground on John Bow and the championship itself. Seaton's already made his move.
Well, the buffer coming into this. Oh, look at Jones down the inside of Johnson. Boof.
Yes.
Little tap there to let him know he's well and truly coming through. He shoots out of there like the Apollo.
There's
11.
Brock.
And Brock came through as well. Johnson got really crossed up there. So Johnson gets shuffled back. Brock's able to capitalise. He's down the inside of Jones. They're side by side as they come down toward the start. The braking air at the end of the straight. Unbelievable stuff from Brock.
Look at the spectators. They've all come alive. Johnson's back. You want to play that game? I can play it too.
Well, he's got back in front of Jones, but the man who's threatening the points table is Brock. He's the one who slipped through the net, and he's coming right up behind Bow. 25 laps down on this 29 lapper. Look at Jones. He's got a tyre rubbing too.
It's a little bit of body panel work here. Brocky on fire. He's got some of that Northern Territory bull dust in his lungs. I think he's trying to blow it out here today.
Well, he's allowed Mazzara to go through and take the battle up. There's nothing Jones can do in the way of points. All he wants to do, Brock, is pull in John Bow and pass him and keep this championship alive.
26 laps down, 3 to go. Not a lot of real estate to play with. Just under 10 kilometres of racing left. Johnson, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything about Brock, even though he may be able to hang on to him. Look at the lap times. He's going very much almost as quick as Brocky.
He did a pretty good job on Alan Jones. I think he's more than happy to do one on Brock.
Well, let's see if he can hang with the back of Brock's HRT Commodore. No lack of squirt from the DJR Falcons. We've seen that this year. There's 7.1 seconds is the lead he has over John Bow at the moment. There's Bow. Yep. Brock trying to zero in. Look how deep he goes with the brakes. Bow moves over to cover his tracks. He's got every right to do that.
Oh, of course he has.
So Brock, and he's in the shell sandwich now. What a fascinating contest this is. Forward, Holden forward. Brock taking on the Falcons in the final laps of this opening heat.
Well, Brock will be looking down the inside here, and there's no use going to the outside because Johnson will be, yes, Johnson will be up on the inside. So if you're going to make a move, you're going to have to make it a very, very decisive move when you attack Bow because Johnson's going to shut your options off.
The crowd along pit straight, you can see them jumping on the spot. They're getting very excited. Dick Johnson, Dunlop Race Cameras, we take you into the heart of this battle. You can see his teammate under there coming under fire. One slip from Bow and Brock will be through. Look at Mazzara. He comes up to have its 2 Holdens, 2 Fords.
John Bow does drive superbly under these conditions. This is reminding me of Winton when he held off the field just so very well.
Brock up on the inside, nothing there. Now you watch Dick if he can. He'll get up the inside.
Oh, look
Brock's on the grass. So too was Dick.
Well, he's had 20,000 kilometres of driving through the dirt. It's not going to change his mind here. He sticks 2 wheels up on the infield. And look at the amount of power from the DJR Falcon. He can hold Brock in a straight line. Let's see what happens under brakes. No doubt John Bow will duck down the inside. He has. And he's gone on the anchors very early. And Brock has been able to sneak through.
That's right. Superb fashion. Just a superb move.
Listen to the crowd, will you? They're cheering all the way around the track. They can't believe this.
Let's not take anything away from Thomas Mazzara, who's also shadowing the second of the Shell cars and done very well to maintain his position here in this field.
Last lap. for Glenn Seaton as he crosses the start finish line. Here's the battle for second, third, fourth and fifth.
Listen to the cheers, the grandstand, they're all jumping. Brock from the back of the field up to second, and championship points coming away from John Bow's grasp in race 1 of round 8 at Mallala today. What a fabulous race it's been. Brilliant conditions, and before we estimate about 28,000 V8 fans.
Well, it's a great move by Brock on tyres too. He went for a fairly hard tyre on the rear and a soft one on the front. It's been working well for the HRT Commodores in previous rounds, and boy, isn't it working well here. Here's Mazira trying to push up and make some ground on Johnson as well.
Well, just think how hard Rocky's had to work to get from the tail of the field, Mark. It's not as if it's just been a good tyre choice. He has worked that car hard, himself hard, to get up into this position. That didn't happen by accident. 21
cars he had to make his way through. There he is in second position. I think John Bow would be in disbelief. Brock spinning to the back of the field in that opening lap, and he's come back to overtake him. What an unbelievable recovery from the Holden hero.
They work the back straight. This is the final lap up to the S's for the final time. Car number 30, Glenn Seaton, was a shocker here at Mallala last year, and that championship chase after Bow is on the boil again. The final corner, crowd to their feet, and they've done it. Seaton across the line in the Peter Jackson Falcon, followed by championship runner-up so far Peter Brock, and then John Bow, Dick Johnson, next followed by Thomas Mazera and Alan Jones. Time to check out the top 10 on the Shell race score. Glenn Seaton, what a performance, and what about a performance from Peter Brock. Last to second, John Bow takes third, Dick Johnson fourth, Thomas Mazera finished in fifth. Sixth place went to Alan Jones. Jimmy Richards took seventh. Eighth was Paul Romano, the privateer. Ninth, another privateer, Mark Poole. And rounding out the top 10, 39, Chris Smurden back at Mallala in just a moment. Back here at Mallala Raceway, we've got the superbikes on the racetrack. The Shell Australian Touring Car Championship Round 8 Race 2 at Mallala in South Australia. Don't forget, Round 9 of the championship comes up a week from today at Barbagallo Raceway at Wanneroo in Western Australia, and the grand final at Sydney's Oran Park Raceway on Sunday, August 6th. And on that particular day, for 7 Sport viewers, we'll give you the opportunity to win one of these Mitre 10 tool sheds full of $5,000 worth of product in our Mitre 10 Magic Moments. We'll give you a play of 4 major incidents during the year. You can vote on it on a 0055 number, and you could be a winner. Well, the fans are the winners here today. The crowd up 3,000 on the record here 2 years ago, up over 22,000. Here's the lineup for race number 2. Number 30, Glenn Seaton, the winner of the opening heat, starts on the front row with Peter Perfect in the Mobile Commodore. Row number 2, the Shell FAI Falcons of Johnny Bow and Dick Johnson.
Out of row 3, 015, Thomas Mazera. Good effort that in the first heat. 35, Alan Jones alongside. Row 4, Jimmy Richards, another great run from the Winfield racer. And Paul Romano, the star of the privateers.
Row number 5 sees Mark Poole in the Cartronics Commodore, sharing that row with Chris Smurden in the Mitsubishi Electrics Commodore. Row 6 is Mark Larkham in the Mitre 10 Falcon and Larry Perkins in the Castrol Commodore.
Out of row 7, car 47, John Trimble and Bobby Pearson alongside him in the Product Hold. Row 8, Kevin Baldock, the Team Komatsu Falcon EB, and David Parsons, the rookie, alongside him.
Row 9, David Attard, the Alcare Air Conditioning Commodore, and Wayne Gardner in the Coke Commodore. Row number 10 is Neil Crompton and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon EF. And at the tail of the field, Mark Scaife in the Winfield Racing Commodore. Field moving in now for the start. There's young Paul Romano. He'll start in the 4th row. The best of the privateers here today, carrying no sponsorship, but what an exciting championship season he is enjoying at the moment. The field is just about set. The 2 Bridgestone runners, Glenn Seaton and Peter Brock, on the front row. The Dunlop boys, John Bow and Dick Johnson behind them, and then a couple of other Bridgestone boys in Mazera and Alan Jones in the 3rd row. Time to go. Race number 2, round number 8 of the Shell Series from Mallala Raceway. The lights on. Brock, a good start. Bow makes a brilliant start as well, and getting down the inside is Thomas Mazera. It's going to be pretty tight into the first corner. Shuttle, it's 1-2 as the Bridgestone runners into the left-hander. Glenn Seaton followed by Peter Brock. John Bow is next, and then it's Dick Johnson, and the rest of the field get through the first 2 turns without incident.
Very good start by Glenn Seaton, the best he's had all weekend.
I think we can expect a much stronger run from John Bowe in this second heat. The Shell team experimented with a new front brake caliper set up in the first heat. It boiled the fluid and he was in all sorts of brake problems. They've switched back now to Johnson's setup, so John should be much stronger in this second heat. Look at him as he hangs onto the back of Brock's bumper. This is first and second in the championship. Doesn't Bowe and Brock know about it? Oh, he has a real look down the inside there. Brock covers his tracks. This is going to be one heck of a battle.
Might have been just a little tap in there as we take Dunlop race cam, riding on the roof of Dick Johnson's Falcon as he trails them back in fourth spot. Here they are coming back onto the straight. Down to the right-hander and back onto the start-finishing straight. Glenn Seaton looking for a perfect scorecard here this weekend. Won the dash this morning. He's won the opening heat. He's pulled about 6 or 8 points back off Bowe's lead in the championship. Brock runs second in the championship. He's desperate to keep Bowe behind him. Johnson is fourth, Mazzara is fifth, and Jimmy Richards is sixth as they reel off the first lap.
Well, this is certainly no place to be having a spongy pedal, and John Bowe was having brake troubles in the first heat. He's not having any trouble at the moment.
A couple of taps in there from JB as Brock gets pushed wide on the ripple strip. He's all over him as they come down toward the hairpin this time around.
Couple of love taps there for sure.
I don't know about love taps. Dick Johnson was before the stewards. Well, the stewards were having a look at some vision of a love tap from Johnson to Neil Crompton a little earlier today. In the meantime, the Crompton car has gone back in the pits, car number 7, so he is down almost a lap so far.
Bowe gets right under the bumper of Mobile 05 as they come down for this incredible. This place is just so hard on brakes. 3 or 4 very hard applications from high speed. And you can see why Bowe was struggling in that opening heat. Look how close he is to Brock.
He's trying hard. He wants to. He's
trying to get to the outside, and he tried a very good line that time. It was tight, but he knew that Brock was almost going to come across on him. That's exactly Brock's right. This is racing. No guarantee. You don't put the signal out and ask the guy to move over. This is racing as they head down the front straight. He won't upset Brock with all that ducking and weaving. Brock's had 25 years of it.
No, he's just wasting his time there doing that. He's better off trying to stay right on his bumper bar, so
he's trying to get
himself off.
He'll try and get across to the right, but look how close Brock runs to the white line. There is no room to pass there, so all John can do is run down here as hard as he can under brakes, dab it, and then try and get under Brock on the exit to this turn.
Well, it's having the desired effect for Seaton too. 2.2 seconds, the gap between first and second that time around. Mark Larkham in trouble again. We saw him on the grass in the first heat. He's headed for the real estate. Is he unstrapping here? I think he's out of race 2. Any chance John may be in problem with engine temperatures? He keeps running around in the draft like this, Alan?
I wouldn't think so. Not on this. Not today. But there go his lights. He's flashing. He's trying the old trick. Normally when this happens to Brocky, he's got his hand out the window. I don't see John's taking any hand off the steering wheel.
I'll tell you, John will be very mindful. He has been pinged a couple of times by camps officials for driving irregularities. They got Larry Perkins comes in for a tyre stop.
Yes, they're in trouble with tyres. So they're doing a tyre run, as Mark suggested, for Dunlop and some of the other companies before they head off to Wanneroo next weekend for the championship at Barbagallo.
Well, the Dunlop guys are really squeezed for time. They've got to, after Wanneroo, they've got to make the decision on the definitive tyre for Bathurst, so they're trying to get as much track time as they can before they have to make that decision on next Sunday evening. Perkins back into the race with a new set of tyres on and a bit more experimentation. Meanwhile, no experiments here. This is fist to fist, car versus car. And Bowe hasn't been able to do anything about it over these last 6.5 laps.
And Seaton really hasn't got away all that far from them. They're still within striking distance.
Oh, look at this.
Here
John Bowe gets a little tap there. He tried to push up on the inside of Brock, but no, thank you, John.
He's really giving him a workover, but
Brock really held his ground there. I think he launched out of that corner perhaps a little bit faster than John may have expected, and he found himself in no man's land. And he really can't afford to have to cut a tyre or bend a fender here because it's crucial points on the line for both of these guys.
Well, it's close here now. He might be trying to set him up for this horseshoe, but trying to set Peter Brock up is a bit like having to have 2 balls going down the runway at the same time to get all the pins, I think.
Well, Brocky's just driving a very good conservative line here. Very, very tidy and just putting his car where Bowe needs to be. And Bowe really does sit right in behind him.
Look at the handling of these 2 cars. Superb on 05, superb on 18. Holden Racing Team didn't look this good a couple of seasons ago, but with Ron Harrop's guiding hand at the moment, the engineering that's been plowed into these cars is nothing short of world class.
He's a great engineer, Ronnie Harrop, done a good job with HRT. And to his credit, Brocky is having a golden year, a tremendous year. A lot of people had written this bloke off a couple of years back, and His team partner, Thomas Mazzera, was always considered a bit quicker in qualifying, but Brocky's pulled all that back this year.
Well, he's got the package. He's got the factory car. He's got an excellent Bridgestone tyre package, and is exploiting the grip of those Bridgestones very well, and he's putting together a tremendous championship.
And what, you reckon for an old bloke he's not doing a bad job?
For a young man.
Is that what we're getting at?
I didn't say it.
Uh-huh.
Look how evenly matched these two cars are. Brock and Bow, they're just separated by hundreds, sometimes thousands of a second. Just so evenly matched. Different cars, different tyres, different drivers.
I think what could be bothering John here at the moment is the fact that the Bridgestones have now really come into their own, not as if he wasn't doing well every lap here so far, but it seemed in the first heat, the further the Bridgestone cars went, the better they got.
The leader's gone through. Brock runs second. Next is Bow. Johnson is the next, followed by Mazzera. Then it's Jimmy Richards, followed by, or Scaife, then Richards. Yep. Alan Jones has gone through. Then it's Wayne Gardner and Tony Longhurst in the Castrol Falcon. Then Paul Romano, the first of the privateers. Mark Poole in the Cartronics machine. He goes through as well, and then a fair gap back to the rest of the field. But the fascinating dice here has been Peter Brock, who challenges Bow for the championship, runs second in the series, and Bow desperately trying to get past him because the race leader is Glenn Seaton, who already has picked up 8 points earlier today.
He's just building on it. A few tenths of a lap. It's out to 3.3 seconds now, the lead from Seaton over Brock. And he's just building on that nice and calmly, and obviously looking after his race package. There's our race leader.
There's the baby-faced assassin looking for a hat-trick here today as we check them out on the Shell race score. Glenn Seaton, the leader in the Peter Jackson Falcon. Brock runs second in the Mobile Commodore. Third is Johnny Bow in the Shell FAI Falcon. Dick Johnson in the team car runs fourth. Rounding out the 5 is Thomas Mazzera in the Mobile Commodore. Mallala, and you'll recall that Peter Brock came from dead last in the field in the opening heat today to run in second. Well, there's another charger on the move, the man that has won this round for the last 2 years, and that's Mark Scaife in the Winfield Commodore. Now moving up on the tail here of Thomas Mazzera. He started dead last, and boy, is he on the move.
Yeah, up to 6th position. That's quite a remarkable charge from Scaife. The car repaired after that accident with Crompton in the first heat, and obviously going like a train. 10 laps down at this 29-lapper. Scaife still the fastest man on the circuit. His earlier times are anything to go by.
Well, a lot of international tire horsepower here at Mallala. Directors and service personnel from all the tire companies really monitoring what's going on here today so that they can make their Bathurst choices over the next week or so.
This could well be the battle we'll see at Mount Panorama in October. Peter Brock, John Bow, absolutely hammer and tongs. Look how close Bow gets to the back of Brock's car.
Well, he gets in and under that back wing and then tries to get across on the right-hand side of the road. Brock won't allow that. He just dabs the brakes and gets into the next right-hander and comes out of here wide and goes immediately back to the inside over near the white line just to make sure no one can get down him on this very, very fast sweeper. And that's the closest they've been the last couple of laps. Brock still running in second, Bow in third, Dick Johnson in fourth as Brock attacks the brakes just a little bit early.
Thomas Mazzera coming under fire from Mark Scaife on a charge just at the back of that shot. So battles going on way up and down through the field. There's Johnson in fourth.
Thomas Mazzera, 015 is one back, and then it's Mark Scaife still on his charge. If he can get past Mazzera, he'll be up to separate these two Falcons pretty quickly, and that's something else that Mark Scaife or Dick Johnson really don't need.
I'll tell you what, Brock is holding Seaton. The gap's only out to 3 seconds. It hasn't got much over that. So Seaton's position stabilising. There's David Attard in the Alcare Commodore, one of our leading privateers, and obviously not a bad, obviously a pretty bad way to end the day for him.
Good to see Dick Johnson up there holding rear gunner position. This is an indication that a few of the teams would be wary of for Bathurst. The strength of the Shell team being able to get 2 cars up there and their 2 lead drivers running so strong here today. With Bathurst only 80-odd days away, believe me, everyone is thinking on the horizon. The results from these 2 rounds now here in Mallala, next week over in Perth.
Well, the time slipping out. Seaton now controlling the pace from the front. He's just slipped up at the mid 1:10-second bracket. 1 minute 10 seconds, and everyone's going with him. Seaton well in control, but the gap has come down. It blew out to 3.3. Now it's down to 2.2, the gap between Seaton and Brock. So Brocky, even with his mirrors full of Bow, isn't slowing off the pace at all.
No, I think you'll find that Seaton ran up on a couple of lap cars at a critical moment. I know one was Kevin Waldock, and it took him all of the first and second turns to find a way past. Brock and John Bow had an easier task to pass him, and that's why Brock's made some ground up. Actually got away from John Bow a little bit through this part of the circuit.
has opened the gap a little. Let's monitor these times and see if John's sliding off the pace perhaps, but you've got Johnson right behind him. Thomas Mazera, his teammate, behind in 5th.
I really do think this is a sterling effort by Peter Brock here today to have had the problem in the first heat go to the back of the field. There's nothing more demoralizing for a driver. He got his head together, he fought back, he finished second, and now running at the pace he is here in this second heat. Credit to him, really.
There's been a little tapping going on here too, let me tell you. Scaife has tried to, on a couple of occasions, to pass Thomas Mazera. Thomas is desperately trying to finish a point in front. You've got to keep in mind the old factory deal versus the privateers. And I think Scaife is becoming somewhat frustrated here. Detected a little smoke coming out last time from the outside rear of Thomas's car.
Yeah, it did look like that, Mick.
They head on down past the pits on the left, which goes to show how close, Alan mentioned how close the cars are. Bip, bip, bip. That's just a bip. Just one more now. Can I get back on the inside of him? No. Thomas immediately turns right as they get out of the turn. That's how close they are.
It's quite interesting. You see just how much roll these Winfield cars have when he turns into the corner. The inside wheel stops spinning, so it's getting very light as the car changes direction.
No weight at all on it.
And that's the way Scaife likes it. Nice, softly sprung car with plenty of roll. Good drive out of the corners. Comes up behind Mazera.
He's working hard here. We saw John Bowe do this to Peter Brock, but Scaife is working hard on Mazera.
18 laps down. This 29 lapper. See Brock's inside wheel just locks momentarily again. A bit of battle damage on the front lip of the Winfield Commodore. He's giving Thomas a bit of a tap. Come on, son, move along.
Very hard to drive like this on these types of corners because Mark can't see the exact apex. He has to rely on where he sees the Commodore in front of him moving. It's not too easy to drive so close like this.
Tell you what, you want to keep an eye on his teammate too. That gap is down to 2 seconds now between Brock and Seaton. Whether it's traffic or whether Seaton's backing off, we don't know, but the gap is continually coming down, that's for sure.
And Brock also starting to pull away from Bowe. This is the only really close scrapple. It was there for half a lap back as Scaife made a lunge at Thomas Mazera. But Thomas able to get away from him again. That must be frustrating for Mark Scaife, but pretty good for Thomas and the HRT boys. It's back to the end of the backstraight. There you saw Alan Jones coming into play. Right behind him was Jimmy Richards. So a bit of a gap developing between Peter Brock and John Bowe, but the gap is closing between Peter Brock and the race leader, Glenn Seaton. Seaton coming in to rip one more lap off.
He's coming under fire here from Scaife. Plenty of smoke coming off the tyres. These guys are driving right on the limit. There's Jimmy Richards hovering behind Alan Jones.
Just clicked off the 20th lap, so getting towards the last quarter.
And it's coming down again. 1.7 seconds the gap between Brock and Seaton now. Could Glenn be in trouble? Is he backing off, or is Brock just closing in? The times are so close. Brock 0.3 of a second faster that time around than Seaton. We'll keep an eye on that.
Well, Brock's done a fabulous job. If that is the case, that he's able to deal with John Bowe and at the same time still pick up Glenn Seaton.
Yeah, well,
passing him might be another problem, particularly if you've got John Bowe right on your tail. Here's the gap. Brock going through there. John Bowe. Then it's Dick Johnson. And here's this here's this argument going on again between Thomas Mazera and Mark Scaife in car number 1. Back behind them, it's Alan Jones.
There must be something in this Bridgestone story. There's 3 Bridgestone cars in the top 10 at the moment. They're all running in the 9s. Everyone else is in the 10s. These tyres just seem to come on so strongly toward the end of the race. And look at the amount of real estate Jones is making up.
Oh, there's another one. Another little tap there. He almost lost it himself, but he'll certainly be unsettling Thomas with those. And
Thomas
might be a few
sideways.
words here.
Mark's getting very frustrated back there. Let's see if he look down the inside. No, tucks back inside. Oh, he gets the wheel off the ribble strip. Thomas heads over the rough stuff.
Yes.
And wilts under the pressure. Scaife pushes his way through.
That was really what did happen too, wilting under pressure.
That's almost fair enough too. Parnelli Jones used to have a theory. It was one tap and then the next one was for real. I think Mark was pretty patient. And good job here by Seaton. Again, really riding the curbs to maximum advantage. Slightly different setup to Mark Scaife's, but nevertheless still allowing him to ride those curbs.
Last year, this round at Mallala was just awful for Glenn Seaton. Today, things are much better, but Peter Brock is still on the move with 4.5 laps remaining in race 2 of round 8. Seaton gets away down the back straight, but Brock, who came from dead last to run second in the opening heat, has done it far more comfortably, still holding down second behind Seaton. Back in third is Bauer with the headlights ablaze. Dick Johnson has dropped back off his tail as they make their way through the right-hander.
Yeah, well, the Cam Stewart, Tim Schenken and the boys would have been working overtime after that first heat. There was plenty of action, plenty of fender rubbing in that first heat. The boys seem to be behaving themselves a little bit better in the second one. Here's Mazzera still in command, 6th, 7th and 8th.
There's a big lunge there by Jim Richards around that first right-hander off the old pit straight. He's having a big go here today. It is important that the drivers drive the cars hard if they're going to find the limits of what their tires are going to be expected to do. I think the tire engineers have got the toughest job in this game.
Well, Jimmy Richards had a rather heated argument with Wayne Gardner after that first heat, after they're coming together, so shows how serious these blokes are. That gap remaining static. There's Brock in second position, still just on 2 seconds behind Seaton, so very little he can do about the Peter Jackson Ford here this afternoon, it appears. 27 laps down, 2 to go.
Lots of miles being under his belt this month. Peter Brock running in the Mobile Round Australia trial. I don't know how many thousand kilometers that was, but
20,000.
Got to be a few, and some hard miles here to finish off the week.
This would be a breeze today.
This would be rather simple. Looking good. Mobile 05.
Pair of seconds today for Peter. The first race from last to second, and today where he shared the front row for the second round.
This is probably the way they'll finish on the podium too. Seaton first, Brock second, and Bauer third. That's the positions they pulled in the first heat. It looks like that's the way they're going to run down to the second.
This car does look particularly stable, and I can see how fast it's going to be at Mount Panorama in a couple of months' time.
You get the last lap board this time by. That's exactly what happens for Glenn Seaton. A much better day at Mallala for Glenn, who still has a chance of winning the championship this year. But he needed a perfect score today in order to do it, and that's exactly what he's done.
Yeah, it's a real credit to him to do 3 races and win 3 times in this competition. It's not a mean feat.
Certainly isn't. There's Seaton coming up behind John Trimble in the Daily Planet Falcon. Seaton just sits, makes the move to the inside or the outside. They'll wait till they get through the through that right-hand curve. Looking for Peter Brock. He's not that far in arrears, but the lap car will help Seaton as he exits that corner and makes his way now onto the back straight. The lights are on the Peter Jackson Falcon, and Brock making a last-minute lunge under brakes right up behind Glenn Seaton.
Here he comes.
Into the last corner, the tightest racing that we've had for the championship. And the last corner comes up now, checkered flag, and Glenn Seaton, a hat-trick today at Mallala, takes the win. Brock takes second. Third place will go to John Bauer, who slips down the championship ladder. Fourth place goes to Dick Johnson. Fifth place will go to Mark Skaife for fine drive, and sixth will go to Thomas Mazzera. Let's confirm those placings for you on the Shell race score. Glenn Seaton, the winner of today's round as well as the last race. Peter Brock placed in second. John Bauer was third. Dick Johnson finished in fourth, and Mark Skaife was fifth. Sixth place went to Thomas Mazzera. Seventh was Alan Jones. Eighth, Jim Richards. Ninth, Tony Longhurst. And the privateer Mark Will rounded out the top 10. At Mallala Raceway, we have some happy faces today, and I think for Ford fans, the man still continues to lead the championship. He hasn't had a perfect day today, but I'm sure the fans will give a big cheer for John Bauer. That was pretty close stuff today, and a good race in the second with Brocky.
Well, it was a great race. The first race I had some problem with my brakes, but the guys fixed it, thank goodness, and I had a terrific time with Peter there for a while. We were very close, but at the end he just edged away. But I'm very encouraged by the development Dunlop's done, so it's made me feel better for the last 2 races.
Well, you still lead the championship, Wanneroo next week, and then on to Oran Park in Sydney, so things aren't looking too bad after today.
Well, it could have been worse.
Okay, all the best to you. John Bauer, Second place overall today, and he was like the Rock of Gibraltar for Holden, Peter Brock. And I think you've got some fans here today. I don't know, you're Mr. Stay Put.
Yeah, look, that was a great result for the team. We didn't look all that flash in practice. And the first heat result was a dream come true, really. It was just sensational coming from there, I can tell you, from the driver's seat. And the second race there, gee, that was a battle with Glenn. It really was tough, hard racing. And I was reminded every time I got a little bit slow through a corner by a certain Jay Bow, who reminded me in no uncertain terms, whoops, get a move on, Brock, by giving me a little tap. But it's a great weekend. The
championship is still alive as you go to Perth. Absolutely. Well done, Peter Brock. And the winner overall with almost a hat-trick here today. It wasn't good last year. Glenn Seaton for Ford. Well done, Glenn. You deserve this one. You've been battling hard to put together a perfect day, and today is just that.
It has been, Mike, to win the dash and also to win the 2 heats. It has been a perfect day. And we've had success here in 93 as well. So I really like this place. They've done a lot of work here, and I love coming back.
Well, the championship is still open as we go to Wanneroo. Ross Brodie, the motorsport manager for Shell, to give you the garland and the trophy. Congratulations. Ford has won round 8. Glenn Seaton, the winning driver. 2 rounds of the championship remain, but look who's still atop the leaderboard. John Bow with 2:56. Peter Brock runs in second, 2:24, and Glenn Seaton has now moved up to 2:08. Hope you've enjoyed our telecast from Mallala today. We look forward to your company at Wanneroo Park next weekend for the penultimate round of the Shell Series.
Time we've had to spend